All right, and we'll go ahead and get started. So, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Amber Evie, and I'm a grant specialist for Maddie's Fund. I'm super excited to be hosting today's technology huddle for the No Place Like Home Challenge. Today's presentation is going to be a little bit different. It will include 40 minutes of about 40 minutes of presentation time, followed by time for your live Q&A. So before we get started, we're going to go over a few housekeeping items. Everyone's coming in with their microphone muted so you can all hear our speakers. Once their presentation has concluded, we'll open the floor for question and answers. We've got a few more speakers today than we have on previous huddles. Unfortunately, Mark from Austin Animal Services will not be joining us, but we still have a lot of great information to cover. We're going to take any information Mark would have shared with us and we'll post it on Maddie's Pet Forum tomorrow. So because we have more speakers today, let's hold our questions until the end so everyone gets a chance to present. Once the presentations are over, you can ask your question by raising your hand. The Zoom has the hand icon. You can click on it, your hand will go up, we'll call on you, and then you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Once you're done talking, please mute yourself again. You can also ask your question in the chat and we'll go ahead and read it out loud. And finally, we will be recording today's session. It will be placed on the No Place Like Home Challenge group on Maddie's Pet Forum in the next 24 hours. So feel free to watch this huddle again or share it with any of your colleagues. And now I'm super excited to introduce our moderator. She is our moderator for all of the 8 huddles for the No Place Like Home Challenge, and that is Return to Home expert Gina Knapp. Gina is the National Shelter Engagement Director at Michelson Found Animals, who is also a founding partner of this challenge. Gina lives, breathes, return to home. And Gina is going to introduce our presenters and help me moderate the Q&A. So go ahead, Gina, over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm excited. Some of my favorite peeps are here and former colleagues that I work with at Front Street. So today's huddle is going to be super special. And we're going to start the program out with Staley with the Petco Foundation. And I'm presuming you're going to talk about finding Rover.
Sure am. Yeah, thanks for having me, you guys. I'm so excited about this challenge. I really feel like the challenge and the mission behind this challenge aligns well with what the foundation is doing. So let me share my screen. I usually have a driver, so hold on if I accidentally butcher this. Okay, can you see my screen? Yes, okay, awesome. Okay, hold on. All right. Great. So we are here to talk about technology in today's huddle. How's my audio? Am I good? Okay, excellent.
Sounds great, Chelsea.
Great, thank you. I was not so fortunate earlier this week, so if you ever can't hear me, just let me know. As Gina mentioned, my name is Chelsea Staley. I'm the Director of Life Saving at the Petco Foundation. I joined the Petco Foundation in May, and we happened to acquire Finding Rover in June. So it has been a whirlwind since I joined the foundation. It is certainly an honor to work here, and I'm so excited to share with you what our #1 new priority for 2021 is. So our #1 new priority at the Petco Foundation for 2021 is to reunite lost pets with their families. That's why we're all here, right? I'm told that this is the largest attendance that we're expecting for a huddle. So excited about that. And I just can't say enough about all of you who are investing in this challenge to help more lost pets make it home. So the reason we're all here today is despite 10 million pets going missing every year, at present, there is no national database to support lost and found. If you think about it, a dozen national adoption platforms exist. Pet Finder, Adopt-A-Pet, Petco, you can name 5 more, right? But the same luxury does not apply to lost and found until now. The Petco Foundation, as I mentioned, acquired Finding Rover in June because we believe that the platform will help keep pet families together by providing a technology solution to help pet owners find their lost pets. We are leveraging the Finding Rover platform to create this national lost and found database for pets. And so you might be thinking, totally with you on the need for a national database, not totally clear on why Finding Rover was the platform we chose. And so there's a number of reasons that we really love the Finding Rover platform. The first reason is that it uses facial recognition technology to streamline potential pet matches. So in major cities and in broad geographical areas alike, if your shelter is anything like the one I came from, shelters intake an immense number of pets. You guys know intake photos are far from perfect. They often look like mugshots. Many pets look similar, and humans describe pet appearance very, very differently. We really feel like facial recognition technology simplifies the matchmaking process, reducing staff time and human error. The second reason that we love Finding Rover is that it integrates simply with most shelter software, some of whom I saw represented on this call today. Once an organization is integrated with Finding Rover, there is little to no work required to maintain that feed, and the Petco Foundation team will do as much of that work as we possibly can to make it the easiest technology for you to employ. Even better, it is completely free to animal shelters, to rescue groups, and unlike your shelter software, the public can use it too, meaning people in your community can find and reunite lost pets without that pet ever having to enter your shelter. It is accessible by web browser by absolutely everyone. We all have a smartphone in our hand right now, right? We do like to call Finding Rover the only lost pet reunification tool that works retroactively. Certainly, Finding Rover is not the only tool in the lost and found toolbox, right? But you cannot microchip a pet once it goes missing, nor can you replace a collar and a tag, but you can enroll in Finding Rover absolutely anytime. I'm not going to go into a ton more detail here, but happy to take questions on the actual technology itself shortly. I do have a couple of big announcements I want to make sure you guys are aware of. So in order to create an effective national solution, we cannot just focus on shelter pets alone. Instead, we know that shelters are the place we have to start. Today, we have more than 600 of the biggest organizations in the country signed up. So several of you are on this call, so great to see you. If you are not yet participating, no worries, you are totally in the right place. Not only is enrolling free, but it's also easy for organizations using the software listed on this slide. So easy, in fact, that it is going to be required to apply for grant funding in the Petco Foundation's 2021 Animal Welfare Grant Cycle. We are planning a huge public launch in April, and while I can't spill all the beans just yet, I will tell you that funding during the animal welfare cycle that opens this summer will be prioritized for organizations who enroll in Finding Rover by March 1st and who actively participate in our April launch. So stay tuned for more information on that. If that is not enough reason to enroll now in the next couple of weeks before March 1st, we are also entering organizations who are enrolled by March 1st in a contest to win $250,000 in grant dollars. We have two $50,000 awards available and six $25,000 awards available. So you can enter today at petcofoundation.org/findingrover. Now, okay, what if your organization does not use one of the softwares listed on the screen right now? Absolutely no problem, guys. We're here to help you too. I am so stoked about this opportunity. If you have been a foundation partner for any amount of time, you know that we don't give restricted funding. This is one of the rare opportunities that you can actually get project or program funding from the foundation. We are offering a software grant opportunity because we believe having access to sophisticated software will make your organization more efficient, and because we believe that it supports sharing of data with life-saving tools like Shelter Animals Count and the Petco Foundation's National Lost and Found database. Until yesterday, this is a great time. Until yesterday, we were going to close this Data Saves Lives grant application process on February 19th. However, the excitement has been so phenomenal, we've extended it to March 31st. So you can apply for a new software for your shelter until March 31st. We would ask you guys, we're intending this software grant opportunity to be for organizations where funding is a true barrier to software. This is not for organizations with existing software that are planning to switch. So please help us focus this funding on orgs who need it most. I will drop a link in the chat where you can apply for this software grant opportunity at the conclusion of today's webinar. Okay, so excited about this, guys. Awesome. Okay, as I mentioned previously, step one in our Finding Rover journey is all about shelter pets. But the Lost and Found database will not be successful with shelters alone, as you guys know. 30% of pet owners claim they found their pet as a stray, right? We know not all lost and found pets are in animal shelters. In order to make the database successful, we need all pet lovers, animal welfare organizations like you on this call, pet owners, and other folks nationwide to use this platform. Our intent for the platform is for it to be a community-based solution that has one message, one system, and one goal. You guys know it's always been a challenge in Lost and Found for all pet lovers to know about and use one system, right? Heck, sometimes in cities that have several shelters, it's hard for pet lovers to even know about one shelter that takes in all the strays, right? So we really feel like the more that we can use one system, the more pets that we'll be able to send home. And we would love for each of you to do your part by enrolling in the database. Meanwhile, we're doing our part by investing heavily in marketing. You'll see that across the country beginning in April. We're also working to build partnerships with your organizations and corporate partners alike. There's a little hint for you. I can't give you much more information than that right now, but we're working on building partnerships with corporate partners as well and getting the general public on board. And so after all, we know that it takes all of us together to get lost pets home. And that is it for me. Who's up next?
Well, Chelsea, before we move on, I've talked to a lot of organizations about why they shouldn't enroll in Finding Rover because they aren't open admission shelters. And they forget that Finding Rover is also an awesome adoption tool.
It is, yeah.
It is. You can drop a picture of what you're looking for, like the pet of your dreams, into the system, and it starts scanning the participating shelters for a match. So it's really good for adoption. So don't dismiss being part of this project and missing out on a potential grant.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, it's another reason to use it as a pet adoption tool is more shelters than ever are removing breed labels, right? So that's a trend that swept the country, and so regardless of whether or not a shelter is using breed labels, you can search for pets by adoption based on their photo.
100%. And right in line with what we've been talking about, I'd like to introduce Jessica Schleder with Adoptimize. And Chelsea kind of mentioned it, that intake photo. There's a lot of secret in that sauce. And Jessica, take it. Tell us about the program.
Hey everyone, I'm Jessica Schleder, founder of Adoptimize. And well, first I'm going to share my screen. What you see here is what we do. We automate great pet photos to increase adoption rates and reduce operating costs for your shelters. There we go. Everyone can see this, right? So Adoptimize generates high quality Instagrammable photos in just seconds. And you could say that we take the shelter out of the shelter photo. So this is how it works. And I'm going to give you a quick demo after this, but you upload a picture of your pet from your shelter, intake photo. That's great. We automatically edit the photo to maximize the pet's chance at finding family like this. So this is a real result from Española Humane. And it really only takes a couple seconds, and that's the beauty of this. So at this point, we've been around for about a year, and we have over 100 shelters using our software. But let me tell you about the results that we've seen. In 2020, Palm Valley Animal Society saw 17% higher adoption rates with our images compared to pets without. And this is both dogs and cats. El Paso Animal Services, their stray reclaim rate was 53% higher with our images, which ended up saving them over $261,000 in cost of care last year. And that's because what was happening is by returning more pets to their families, those pets never went on the adoption track, and obviously the return home track is a much shorter length of stay. So they were saving at least 8 days of cost of care per pet we were returning home. And finally, we launched our cat algorithm back in October, and we're actually moving cats through our shelters at least 10% faster. Española Humane saw 10% faster in their first month, but we're up to now like at least 35% faster in some of our shelters. So we're reducing length of stay for cats, which is awesome. There are a couple ways you can use Adoptimize in the shelter. So intake is the primary way we see our clients using it. Basically, you at intake, instead of taking a photo with ChamCam or however else you're taking your photo, you take your photo within our app and upload it to shelter software like you would any other photo. This is where we see the most impact, because if you get a good photo online fast, that means that the pet's more likely to have an outcome faster. Second is that we have a simple pet photo editing tool that is designed to make, like, it has actual fur tools in it. So it's something that we've seen adoption and marketing teams use after intake. So maybe you upload your photo, it lives online, and then your adoption coordinators then go through and retake photos and they upload into Adoptimize. And then also finally, we've been seeing, this is an interesting one, shelters have been using Adoptimize as remote volunteer engagement. So we have a couple of shelters that haven't changed the processes at all. They have volunteers who are at home that normally may have been able to come into the shelter every day. They go online, they download the photos, upload them into Adoptimize, and then just email them back to the shelter. So there's also a way that you don't have to do any of this. I wanted to let you know that I'm going to be hosting a webinar tomorrow to kind of just answer any questions, go a little bit deeper into how this whole thing works. I'll show manual editing tools, and you can sign up if you go to our website at adoptimize.co and then click the banner, and then you can click sign up. But let me show you how this works. Gotta escape here. All right, so we have animal dashboard here. I'm gonna upload a photo of a dog that is in a kennel. You throw your A number in here, unique identifier, helps us with our reporting. We'll do pickles. You grab your photo. Let's see, this is the dog, right? Yeah. We have a dog algorithm and a cat algorithm. And if you put a cat in the dog algorithm, it basically says no dog detected because it's looking for dogs. So it means it's doing its job, but I had to take a look, make sure it's putting the dog in. While we edit your photo, we show you cute GIFs from our friends at Giphy, and they're almost always different. Ta-da! Okay, so what we have here is, this is dog in a kennel, and then this is dog with Adoptimize, and you can always change the colors too. So all you would have to do is click to download, and then you upload this image into your animal management system like you would any other photo. And that's it. It's designed to get you in and out because we know that you don't need to be doing more shit at intake. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. It is a cool system, especially, some shelters have a lot of fancy equipment and a lot of, paid professionals, but paid professionals not there the moment the animal walks in the door. So get it right for the first, at the onset, and you can always tweak later. But anyways, make sure you sign up for that seminar tomorrow. And next, one of my favorite people that I used to work with in Sacramento, Ryan Hinderman. Good to see you. I love the beard. Ryan's going to talk to you about the texting program that we developed. I say we because I was there, but he did all the work in order to help people looking for lost animals know what to do, because it's very confusing. There's so many places, pieces, and parts to this whole process. And Ryan created a really super, user-friendly, cheap, almost free, cheap program. Go ahead, Ryan, take it. So proud of you.
Thanks, Gina, and thanks for noticing the quarantine beard. I think it's a trend that many have gotten on. So my name's Ryan. I am the Communications and Customer Service Manager at Front Street Animal Shelter. And a couple years ago, we recognized the need to increase our return to home efforts. We've always been very focused on big adoption promotions that got 200 people in line from a social media post. And that would be great. It'd be exciting. Our stress would be relieved for about 2 weeks until we were full again. And so we realized, there's multiple ways that we need to kind of attack this shelter crowding issue, and return to home is one. And I think, return to home is a solution and a series of solutions. And wherever there's a solution, there's also a problem. So, the reason that we have to do all these things is because all these pets are going missing, and, very few of them are getting back home to their original owners. And that problem is made up of, I think, many problems. So there's many reasons why an animal may not go back to its original home. So it could be, a language barrier. Someone's not able to access, the shelter. It could be a cost barrier. They're not able to pay fees. It could be that a certain number of animals, are abandoned, or their owners don't want them back. But what we thought is, well, can 60% of owners really not want their dog back? Or, 90 to 95% of cat owners really not want their cats back? And we said no. And we looked at the problems that contributed to the bigger problem of pets not going home. And what we wanted to focus on was the knowledge problem, because the reality is, and many of you have probably experienced this, the average citizen has no idea how to properly look for a lost pet. It could be something as simple as a flyer, where they post this tiny little flyer, sometimes without even a picture, that you can't even see driving by. They don't know they need to post like a big poster, and that's proven to work. That's, on the dog side. On the cat side, people tend to look for cats like they look for dogs, which is completely the wrong strategy, because the chance is, especially if it's an indoor cat that got outside, it's probably within a 5-house radius of where it went missing. And what you need to do is knock on doors and all that. So we wanted to create basically an all-in-one resource that would give people all the knowledge that they needed to get their pet back, and also something that would guide them through the process. Because someone could search on the internet and find a tip, check your local shelter once every 3 days. But what are the chances they're really going to be doing that two months later? We know that so many animals get picked up. People don't want to take them to the shelter right away. They're afraid they might get euthanized or whatever. So there's not that consistency. And so we wanted something that was an all-in-one resource that would guide people through this whole process. We thought about a couple things. One was email, but emails have a very poor open rate, 18 to 30% at best. So what we ended up landing on was text messaging. Texts have a 98% open rate, which if you look at your inbox and you see how many unread emails you have compared to your phone, you'll see that's true. So we wanted to use automated text messaging technology, which already exists. You may have signed up for it through a retailer. I just got a marketing text from Express today, 40 to 60% off clothes. I always open them, even though I don't usually capitalize on them, but I never open the ones in my email. So it's a very effective way to get messages across to people. And so we worked with some of the top lost pet experts in the country to develop a text messaging program. And I'm going to play a video. Let's see here. And hopefully this looks good. Always kind of iffy on Zoom, but we won some Innovation Showdown grant funding to create and market this program. And so this was a video that we created to show at the next year's Innovation Showdown that sort of talks about our launch. And it just gives kind of a good overview of the program.
At the 2018 Innovation Showdown, the Front Street Animal Shelter won $250,000 to develop and market Lost to Found, an automated text messaging system to guide owners through every step of finding their pet. This is how the funding has been used so far. The first thing we developed was the text messaging program in both English and Spanish. When someone texts STRAY to 555-888, they're automatically sent links to view animals at our shelter, which they continue to receive every 3 days for 2 months. This way, there's no chance they'll miss their pet at the shelter, and texts have a 98% open rate. Next, they receive video tutorials. We worked with the nation's top lost pet experts to produce the most in-depth, evidence-based videos for how to find a lost dog and how to find a lost cat available. They also receive links to other local shelters, a link to complete an online lost pet report, a link to upload to Finding Rover, links to Craigslist, an exhaustive list of local lost and found pet Facebook pages and other resources, and more. Pet parents need only text one number to get all the information they need. It's like a 911 for lost pets. You can try it out right now. Just text STRAY to 555-888 and reply STOP to end texts anytime. It's made it incredibly easy to communicate with citizens about lost pets, where before they were left with scattered, incomplete, and overwhelming information. Now it's all in one extremely accessible resource. Next, the bulk of the funding was used to market the program through the production and mailing of postcards, which feature magnets, stickers, and wallet cards, all of which not only have our texting number, but also a coupon to get their pet out of the shelter for no fees. This way, owners have our info on hand as soon as the pet goes missing. All materials are translated for residents who primarily speak Spanish. We've completed the first wave of the mailing, which was sent to over half the residences in the city, and if successful, we'll use more funding from the grant to mail to the rest of the city. Feedback from the community has been extremely positive, with excited residents posting pictures of their new magnets. Since we found a more cost-effective way to produce the mailed materials, we came in under budget and have been able to use other marketing methods to get the word out, including billboards, bus ads, magazine ads, animations for Instagram ads, social graphics and videos, and free media from several local stations, which have all collectively been seen by millions of people. While it's still too early to assess the impact of the program, so far results have been positive. In the first 4 weeks, over 400 people have texted the number to get help finding their pet, and customers have been bringing in the magnets to get RTO fees waived and get free microchips. Here is the first of what we hope will be many pet reunifications thanks to the program, and it's impossible to say how many owners have found their pets in the community using the tips we provided, or how many animals were prevented from coming to the shelter in the first place, which is the ultimate goal of the program. We look forward to continuing to collect data to evaluate the long-term results of the program on intake and owner returns. Numerous shelters have contacted us wanting to implement the texting program. Now that the materials are produced in a copy-paste format, any shelter can set up this program in a day or two at only $1,000 to $1,500 a year to maintain the service with virtually no staff time required. To access all texting and marketing materials and connect with us to start a texting program in your area, text STRAY INFO to 555-888 or chat with us after the showdown. Thank you to all the organizations that made this possible for giving countless pet owners the most accessible, easy to follow resource for finding a lost pet ever created.
So that's kind of the gist of it. We did look at our 1 year results. We did see a 4% increase in our RTO rate, which was the highest 1 year increase in our history. We had a lot of other things going on too. It's hard to prove what was what, and we did get a big grant to mail to all of those residences in the city. But it's great because it's scalable. You can spend a little money and provide a great resource to your community with all sorts of free marketing methods. So that's the basics of it, and happy to take questions later.
Thank you, Ryan. Something that I don't think you mentioned was that you're also now using texting for different reasons, like communicating with fosters, with volunteers. I know that New York has implemented texting in New York, somewhere in the Carolinas. It's baffling me right now. Stray Cat Alliance in Southern California is using it to manage their cat program. So don't just think return to home, even though I preach that. There's so many great uses for texting programs that, and it's extremely low cost. What was it in Sacramento, like $1,200 a year?
Yeah, it's about that much, and that was for a lot more text than we really needed, so it could be less. There are some changes going on in the text messaging industry right now, so definitely if you're interested, drop me an email. I'll put my email in the chat, and I can send you an intro doc and go over all of the essentials with anyone who's interested.
Okay, are we ready to do questions, Amber? I think I
That
saw
sounds
one.
great. And it looks like we've already got one coming in from Dr. Levy, probably for Ryan about the, what was the OST/resident for the mailing?
I'm not quite sure what that means. Oh,
Yeah, me either.
Oh,
oh,
cost.
what was the
I
cost?
was
Oh.
like, yes, that makes much more sense. Thank you, Dr. Levy.
OST, I was thinking original soundtrack. So let's see. So we mailed to 135,000 residences, and that cost us about $75,000, and that was for a lot of the graphic designs. It's kind of a full cost. So it's definitely expensive. I would not recommend starting with that. I think that there's a ton of really good free marketing methods, like having a cover photo on all the local lost and found pet Facebook pages. There's a ton of different methods that I'm happy to, I have a list of them I can share with anyone who's interested. Just putting my email in the chat now. So happy to go over those.
And Ryan, we were fortunate because we had a huge grant, innovation grant. Otherwise, none of the shelters that I prattled off a minute ago had that kind of money. So they've done it on their websites, you know, staff and volunteers talking to the community. You know, it's great if you have grant money, but if you don't, this is really an affordable way to launch a program that has big impact.
Yeah, and there's cheaper ways to do direct mail too than our fancy postcards and magnets, but it was pretty cool.
Come on, we've got to have more questions in this group. Oh, a link. Hey, Brian, can you share the link so that people can rewatch that video? Put it in the chat. Can you do that? You're muted.
I don't know if I have it in an easy to find online place. It might be on YouTube. I'll check right now, but otherwise you can send me an email and I'll send it to you. It's included with like the introduction document that I send out to anyone who's interested in the program.
And it might also be on the Petco Foundation website. I think I saw it there. Deanne says, I know we were talking about RTO. I like to call it RTH now. I'm trying to shift the vernacular. But what about keeping pets in their home? We had an owner found deceased yesterday and the cats were brought to us. We tried to get the extended family to take them, but no go. You know, I do think that a component of return to home is the preventative work and what we do in advance with pet owners, like, you know, ensuring that we're always talking about, you know, currently registered chips and, you know, ID tags that are legible in a situation like the one described when someone passes away. I don't know what an alternative solution would be to that, but definitely preventative work, always marketing the value of return to home to your community. I like to say we need to get it to be synonymous with putting on a seatbelt. We have not, as an industry, spent enough time convincing America that their pets can't go out naked. So I don't know, I didn't answer that question. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that.
And just to kind of jump off of that, Gina, it is definitely more of a pet retention or an intake diversion or keeping pets in the home, pets for life type question. And you're right, Deanne, it's not the focus of this particular challenge, but it is something I would encourage you and everyone on this call to definitely join Maddie's Pet Forum to see if you can share ideas with each other about, you know, cost-effective ways. This particular one is a little touchy because it is, you know, the guardian was deceased, but maybe there's a way for like planning for your pets or estate planning before that happens, just being proactive about having a dedicated guardian to your pet. But other ways to keep pets in the home, whether it's food pantries or behavior resources, I would definitely encourage everyone to hop on the Maddie's Pet Forum to share those ideas.
Ryan, there was another question for you from Dr. Levy. Talk a little bit about the biggest barriers or the mistakes that we made along the way as we launched that program.
Well, I mean, I think anyone who wins an innovation grant to develop something new learns is that you got a lot to learn. You know, the postcard, figuring out how we were going to do all the marketing, and that was totally new territory. We had things being produced in Canada and in a couple other states to bring that mail piece together. And then I think it's you know, developing a texting program that works for you, that has all your local resources. We provide our text messages so that you can kind of copy and paste them and just sort of insert the links for your own shelter. It's honestly, it's really easy to get started and takes almost no time at all to maintain it. I saw also is the startup cost based on the estimated number of texts you would be sending? Yes, it is. So it's the company we use, which is called Simple Texting, offers different plans depending on how many texts you anticipate that you're going to send. Who sets up the texting program? I've seen that too. It's, you know, it's kind of just like setting up an email account. I'm happy to provide support to anyone who needs it. I sort of have a tutorial, and the text messaging company does as well, but it's really easy to set it up. It's not a super advanced technology, but as always, happy to guide anyone through it. And I know I know of 7 shelters who have implemented it so far. Gina, I don't think I had heard about the SoCal cat rescue, but I'm seeing a message from Alec that they've been using Simple Texting for their community pets program.
And yes, Simple Texting is a company. So you can go to simpletexting.com, and there's actually tutorials on there that you can watch that explain how the program works. And Ryan has an entire script, which I'm sure you will send to anyone so that they can plagiarize and throw in their own links. Please. It can be done in a day, right, Ryan?
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
I mean, you spent a lot of time creating videos and, you know, being super spectacular, but you don't have to be that kind of over the top to implement something like this fast and, you know, and efficiently.
Yeah, we made a lot of the resources to be copy paste. So for example, our videos that we created, our Lost Pet tutorial videos, I think they're the best videos on the internet, have the most evidence-based information, but we made them to be as generic as possible so anyone can just include those in their text. And I think our Lost Cat video actually has some of the highest views of any lost cat video on the internet. So it's seems to be popular.
And Ryan, we had another question coming in for you that said, how did you decide which population would be most effective to target for texting?
Well, I mean, as far as our mailing, we selected for our first wave, we selected zip codes that were completely within our jurisdiction. So we mailed to half the city that way, and the rest had mixed zip codes of city and county. So we held off there. So we didn't target specifically by geographics or other demographics. If we were more limited on cost and we were going to be doing that sort of targeted marketing, we would probably target our highest intake zip codes and neighborhoods and things like that if our funding was a little bit more limited. But otherwise, we try to be wherever it is that people are going to be searching for their lost pet. You know, it might be Nextdoor, it might be Craigslist, it might be, you know, Facebook, might be our website. So we try to figure out where our target market is going to be looking when they're in that reactive mode of, you know, searching for a pet.
And you know, we have all of these programs and methods, but they're only good if we can all speak to them. And I call it, you know, does your entire team, volunteers included, and it's different now because of the pandemic, but are we all really well versed in, like, how does Finding Rover work? If you're an organization that has Finding Rover, you have to be able to speak to it. And every person that you talk to, inform them of that being available to them, because just turning it on doesn't make it work. And getting our entire community of animals to register their pets with Finding Rover is going to take a concerted effort on all of our parts. If you're going to have a texting program, anybody who walked into our shelter needed to be told about it. Again, the pandemic has changed everything, but it only works if we make it work. Did I miss any questions? I don't think so.
Hey, Jessica. you had, I think a while back, you had shared a story with me about someone who had been looking for their dog that had gotten lost, and they had been searching pictures and had never found their dog. And then I think it was thanks to an Adoptimize photo. Can you share that story? I thought it was just so cool.
Yeah, thanks, Shelly. So that happened in El Paso, and I've certainly heard a couple others. People are recognizing their pets more because let's take a step back. People are recognizing their pets more online because these photos are clearer and they don't have the cluttered backgrounds. And as a result, people are stopping when they're I was gonna say pawing through, when they're swiping through the Adopt a Pet or Pet Finder or Finding Rover. When you see this, you kind of stop and say, oh, someone took a little bit more time here for an adoption, or, oh, maybe, and you click on it. So we did a study with Adopt a Pet, and I didn't talk about this earlier, did I? The Adopt a Pet stuff?
A little bit.
No.
Tell us again.
Oh, okay. We saw that people clicked on these more and they got more unique views. So the more exposure you get, obviously the better for the pets and return to home. So there was in El Paso, there was somebody whose pet was on the website at El Paso, and she didn't recognize her pet until they switched it out for an Adoptimize photo. And she came to reclaim it. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe you have her. And it turns out they had her the whole time. The photo just wasn't clear enough.
Hey, Jessica, I just had a thought. What about all the other critters that we get? Does it work on like the hamsters and all the and the turtles?
I did see some guinea pigs come through yesterday. We don't officially support smaller animals yet, but so we do dogs and cats officially. If you were gonna, and don't tell my developers I'm telling you this, but if you were going to try it out, you should probably put them in the cat algorithm.
Okay.
So rabbits and guinea pigs tend to work fine in the cat algorithm.
And so, Jessica, I'm sorry, I'm going to pick on you for a few minutes. So yeah. Does Adoptimize work with all of the shelter software systems?
Yeah, so we cropped to squares, so it's compatible with every shelter management system. It looks good online across the board, and it lives kind of on top or next to your animal management system. So you click to download, and then you upload it like you would any other photo. It's designed to be an addition, and it's certainly not a replacement. This also doesn't replace amazing volunteer photographers. Those are fabulous if you have them. Definitely keep them. This is designed to get a good photo online fast to start to kind of jumpstart a pet's chance at an outcome, a positive outcome.
Thank you. Yeah. Ryan, looks like there was another question for you. Did the media play a role in helping you get the word out on our texting program?
Yeah, media was definitely excited to jump on this new strategy. I think it's really good if you can time it with some sort of an event, like pets getting out after a storm, which happened a couple weeks ago here in Sacramento, or 4th of July. Those are all really good opportunities to get your texting number out there, because the news is already wanting to talk to you at that time, and it's a cool resource, and they're also probably going to give you coverage on your launch too if you can sell it the right way.
Yeah, as I recall, we got a lot of media coverage on it because it's unique, it's different, and the animal stories sell. We just have to tell our stories. So Chelsea, how many animal shelters are you targeting in America? All of them?
All of them, every one of them, yeah. So today we have about 600, and we have about 50,000 animals showing up on Finding Rover. So super exciting. We have a ton in the works. We've been doing a ton of work behind the scenes, trying to really streamline the onboarding process and make that easier for organizations. And really, I think if you're gonna, introduce a technology solution, it needs to reduce staff time, right? Reduce staff time and human error. So we're working really hard on those types of enhancements.
Cool. Amber, how are we doing for time?
We're doing good. And I actually have a a question that's kind of for Chelsea and Jessica. So this morning I was on a really great webinar with Chelsea explaining how Finding Rover works in more detail, and I actually signed my pets up for Finding Rover as being a part of this challenge, and was like, oh, it's like you were saying, Gina, we need to know how to talk about it and how to use it if we're going to be promoting it. So I signed both of my kitties, and you might hear one in the background because it's about her witching hour where she just wanders around screaming. So sorry about that in advance. But I signed them up for Finding Rover, and it was very easy. But what you said this morning on the call was that they should have no backgrounds, or like as unbusy backgrounds as possible. So if the shelter was taking pictures and using Adoptimize, do you think that would be a way to like digitally share the photos with the new guardians, and then they can upload those to Finding Rover? Or do you know what I mean? It seems like some way to use both of those technologies.
Yeah, absolutely.
together.
I think they complement each other well, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, when you remove the background, the AI can really focus on that pet's face and features. So our AI not only looks at like nose and ear and eye placement, but it looks at coat patterns and things like that. So the less busy the background, the more it can really hone in on coat pattern and color.
Well, I know it works whether it's busy or not, because I did a live demo for the media in my office when I was still at Front Street, and I was sweating big time too, because like, you know, what if it didn't work? And it worked. So it's a very effective tool. I'm happy to see that it's finally getting the recognition it deserves.
That's awesome. Yeah, it seems like, especially too, because everyone on the call who's part of the challenge, you get the free Adoptimize software for a year. So definitely encourage everyone to reach out to Jessica and her team and really take advantage of that. Cool. If we have a pause in the questions, I think this is a good time. I would like to turn it over to Sharon Fletcher, our marketing and communication director. And Sharon has some information she'd like to share with us. So welcome, Sharon. Go ahead.
Thank you. Great presentations, you guys. I was just curious of everyone who's on the call, if anyone is already using any technology that we haven't touched on. You can unmute and talk, or you can put it in the chat if you want. I'm just really curious about that. And then I recognize some names. I know we have some of the software, inventory management software representatives on the call. So if anybody has questions that are connected to that, to technology, feel free to ask.
Is Pet Point on the call by any chance?
I am. Yeah, Steve's Ivan from Pet.
Steve's here.
Okay, great. I'm gonna reach out to you. I'm trying to find a way to help a shelter automate the submission of lost and found reports. I know that's not the topic here, but it kind of is. And they're a Pet Point client, so I'll reach out to you because we haven't figured out how to do that yet.
Okay.
Seeing if we get any questions here or comments.
And I believe, Sharon, too, do we have some of the representatives from the different software companies joining us on the forum too?
I believe so. I believe
Cool.
they're gonna answer questions. So feel free to ask your questions. I know on the website Huddle, was that Huddle number 1 or 2? I think it was 2. Yeah. There were a lot of questions about the connection of the website and questions about like your, how to code appropriately, and then how to connect the software to display of your lost and found page on your website. Was that right, Gina? Am I describing that correctly?
Sort of, yeah. And now that we're getting a couple more comments for Steve, maybe you want to talk about this. I don't know if we have time, but someone wrote that they were having a horrible time uploading the iframe for Pet Point onto their WordPress website. And another person would love to know how to also post lost and found reports on their Pet Point public facing site. So there's definitely a need for that, a desire to do that.
Yeah, there's 2 ways to post using Pet Point. One is that iframe. And if there's anything, I mean, if you've talked to the support team, I mean, and you're not getting the results, I mean, please let me know. But definitely reach out to support if you're having a hard time installing the iframe. I haven't heard any specific problems with it in WordPress, but I'm not in it daily, so I don't know that. The other option is an actual data feed. So if you have sophisticated data people, you can actually get an API that actually gives you the data and allows you to build the entire look and feel, which so a lot of obviously larger humane societies want to build it into the look and feel of their website, so you could get a direct feed, and it's a live feed to your data, so it's always up to date. It's not like an hourly feed.
Excellent.
And it
Thank
looks
you.
like Sheila put in the email of who you can contact. It's in the chat.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, Sheila could definitely help connect you.
Excellent. Okay.
And if there were more questions, sorry, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read the chat.
That's okay. I'll read them to you.
Okay. I'll get my glasses too, and I'll turn on my camera now that I realize that I had it off.
It's okay. Well,
Hi,
I hope
Steve.
that the folks on this call will consider, as soon as we hang up, get your shelter signed up for Finding Rover and Adoptimize, and reach out to Ryan if you are interested in learning more about texting. All three very useful ways to keep animals and get animals home.
Yeah, in general, I see the general question about how to do lost and found on Pet Point. I would definitely recommend if you're already a Pet Point user, you could go into Pet Point, the pet health community, and look up lost and found, and you'll see lots of examples there. Also, I mean, Sheila also could be a resource for that, but definitely use the Pet Point. The Pet Point community has tons and tons of articles in it, and also then has the opportunity for feedback. So there's also a chance you'll have other Pet Point users sharing the things that they do. And so definitely check out that. And then of course, support. Always feel free to reach out to support.
Perfect, Steve. Thank you. I think a lot of times we just try and muddle through on our own, and we forget that we have this conglomerate of experts out there to help us. So good reminder.
Yeah. That is one of the biggest frustrations. I mean, the one thing I feel like I could brag about is our support team, and we have a support team that is always ready to stand by and support you guys. And like I says, we try to do as many self help as we can, but when that doesn't work, always feel free to reach out.
Perfect. Glad you're on the call.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Stephen. Deanne agrees that your support team has been great, so that's awesome. Oh, and Kim agrees too. She says she has all kinds of weird stuff for them. So great. Thanks, Kim and Deanne.
Yeah, there was a comment from someone from Namiko. They're working on using GIS to map where licenses are sold or not sold and where strays are picked up. Go to Maricopa County and look at what they're doing with GIS on lost and found reports. It's absolutely fascinating. Maricopa County, yeah, terrific work.
I also think, and I'm going to make sure El Paso Animal Services, which won the Innovation Award, is doing a lot with GIS and lost and found. So definitely check out their Pet Finder, not Pet Finder, because that's copyrighted, Pet Finder work that they're doing around GIS, and that was a partnership with their city government to help build that. It's a pretty cool site.
Yeah. Good point, Steve. I saw that. It's really good. It's clean too.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Do we have any more questions or comments or anything for the presenters or the software teams on the call?
I'm sorry.
Oh. It's that hour at your house too, huh? Yeah, we all know how that goes. Nobody here is upset with that at all.
Darn doorbell.
It gets them every time, doesn't it?
Every time.
Oh.
Okay, good call. Thank you all, everyone, for joining us. It was a nice group of people, lots of information. We have work to do, but primarily let's get those lost animals home where they belong.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Gina and Jessica and Chelsea and Ryan. That concludes today's huddle. So thank you all so much for sharing your day with us. The next huddle will be Thursday, February 18th at 1 p.m. and we'll discuss strategies for working with the community. And just remember, if you aren't able to attend live, register and you can always review the recording later. And as always, we do encourage you to sign up for Maddie's Pet Forum at maddiespetforum.org. You can join the No Place Like Home Challenge group and share your ideas with each other. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Please stay safe so we can see you soon in person. And thank you for all you do for people and their animals. Have a great rest of your day.